So thank you for talking with me. You were born March 18th, 1993. Where were you born?
Yes, ma'am. So I am from Murshidabad district in the state of West Bengal, and our country is India.
Right. And I've been to India several times, and there's a difference between northern India, southern India. There's a big difference between Punjabis and, say, Bengalis like you. So tell us a little bit about Bengalis. What do people say about Bengalis?
Yes, ma'am. So we are from eastern part of India, and our mother tongue is Bengali. And as you know that India is famous for unity in diversity. So in India, different religions, different cultures, different languages, but unity in diversity it is one of the characteristics in India. And we are Bengali speaking person. Our nearest country is Bangladesh. And not only that, our district where I am working and where I am living, it is one of the border district. It also covers Bangladesh. And as I already mentioned you that our mother tongue is Bengali, and the Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, Nobel laureate Amartya Sen, Dr. Amartya Sen, and recently Abhijit Banerjee, the Nobel laureates, they are also from Bengal. And Bengal also enriched by its arts, culture, history, revolution, and not only that, lots of eminent peoples, freedom fighters, they are also from Bengal. So, and nowadays in Bengal, as you know, that we always feel proud to speak in Bengali here. Though in our country there are different languages are there, we have the equal respect for all the languages, all the cultures, and again and again I can say that India is united by its unity in diversity.
Mm-hmm. Um, if I were Indian, I could tell by your last name what caste background you come from, and that's been problematic for people who are in outcasts, lower caste, tribal people, and I wonder how that's changed in terms of, okay, you're Ali, you're this caste.
Yes, ma'am. You see, in actually, in some places there is these kinds of problems are happening in sometimes, but it is not massively because most of the peoples are broad-hearted here, and we don't think about this caste system or anything. We always think that we always treat man as the human being and human being, and but in sometimes in some places an unwanted incidents are going to happen. But you see, vastly India is a great country, and the peoples of India, they are also very nice persons. And you see, like I born in a Muslim family, we are a Bengali Muslim, but you see, when I started my journey, I started my journey, or still now, in different kinds of people, the different communities, peoples, they came forward to help me, help my initiative, and not they are helping me from in different angles. They are helping me. So that's why I told you that when we started our interview, that India, it has the characteristics that is unity in diversity. There are different religions and different peoples, different cultures, but unity in diversity. And not only that, today is the Republic Day in India. So in our constitution, India is a secular, democratic republic, And not only that, but we have the very good constitution also in India. But sometimes you see some unexpected incidents are happening. But overall, India is a great country, and we always feel happy that we are Indian.
Well, the Prime Minister is Modi is criticized for using Hindu nationalism against Muslims, and some people feel that he's stirred up these kind of conflicts, and it represented it in terms of how cows are treated and that kind of thing. So I think that although there's the ideal, there's also politicians sometimes use conflict for their own political aims.
Actually, madam, the main problem was related the NRC issue. That's the National Record of Citizenship. So it was the main problem that we felt problem in different parts of our country when some law was passed in our country. But you see, this is not like that. This is not like that. But of course, few people they are feeling fear that if they are going to lose their citizenship or anything, then what they should do. So, what they should do. But I already mentioned you that in our constitution, India is a secular country. Secular country. Maybe someone is telling about that we want to transform like this or others, but not the Indians. They are very helpful to each other. They are very helpful to each other, and not only that, whenever we feel any kind of problem, many good kind-hearted persons they are coming forward to help each other. So sometimes people are using these kinds of things, but not exactly like that. You see, that's why when I started our interview, I said that India is a great country. And not only that, from the ancient India and the modern India, India is a great country, and its peoples are very broad-hearted peoples. So, and they are kind, they are helpful. So, and we always feel proud that India is our nation. India is our nation, and we feel proud for India. We love India.
Oh yeah, it has such a ancient, wonderful history and has contributed so much to the world in terms of Hinduism, Buddhism, and I think you've been influenced by Swami Vivekananda, who lived 1863 to 1902 and brought Vedanta to the West. In my state of California, there's self-realization fellowships in San Jose and in Santa Monica near Los Angeles. So how has Vedanta's teachings influenced your thinking?
Ma'am, you see, actually, um, Swami Vivekananda, who founded Ramakrishna Mission and Mott, and in your state, there is also few centers are there in US also. So actually, when I started my school in the year of 2002, when I was a student of class 5 and a boy of 9 years old, so the first branch of whole Ramakrishna Mott and Mission that was 3 kilometers from my home. So one day I visited local Ramakrishna Mission, met the then headmaster monk, Swami Gyanalokanandaji, and asked him to help about my institution. That day he gave me a book of Swami Vivekananda and advised me to read that book at least 5 minutes in a day. And from that book, I got a quotation that is service to man is service to God. It also inspired me to continue my mission. So you see, Swamiji, he was famous for his Chicago address. There also he spoke about the peace and harmony, and not peace and harmony, and not only that, his words, his messages. If we can realize his message and if we can implement those messages in our real life, we can get maximum benefit. So since my childhood, I tried to understand his messages, his works, his life incident, and tried to implement in my life. And I got the good result. It also helps me to do something good for our community, for our society, for our country. So you see, not only for the Vedanta society or anything, he is a great man, he is a great philosopher, great monk, and a great son of India, who also won the heart of whole world. And he also inspiring the youths like me. He also inspired lots of peoples across the globe. So, and what is the philosophy of his teaching? That his philosophy of teaching, that is man-making education. What is this? That education is not a bookish knowledge, not a pack of information, but it is man-making. Because you see, of course, to gain our knowledge, we need to read the book, we need to read book. But apart from that, to become a real man, we need man-making education. So if we can go through his message, we can get lots of teachings, lots of inspiration. So he also helped me, and not only that, he is helping lots of youths in our country, also in the abroad.
Mm-hmm. Are you the first child in your family? You have a younger brother. What other siblings do you have? You have a sister.
Yes, ma'am. So my mother, father, and I have two more brothers. They are younger than me, and one sister. So my sister, she was my first student when I started my school. She was the first student. She also did her post graduation and teachers training degree, and now she became the teacher at our institution. So she is also teaching at our institution now.
And so you're the firstborn in your family, the oldest?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am the oldest, and not only that, in my whole family, I am the first one who got the education.
Mm-hmm. So your mother, I assume, was a homemaker, and your father sold jute, which a kind of fiber. It's used to make clothes or houses.
Jute, yes, yes, ma'am.
What do you make with jute? What is it used to make?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So my mother, she is the housewife, as well as she is also teaching the students of the infant students. That is, here it's called Integrated Child Development Service here in India. And my father, he is purchasing jute and he is selling jute. So with jute, basically in this region and our nearest country, Bangladesh, the jute is cultivating mostly, and from jute we can make shacks, rope, uh, lots of thing we can produce from jute. So because we are dependent on agriculture, and our land is mostly agricultural land. So jute is one of the cultivation. Usually it is coming during rainy season. So yes, ma'am. So he is purchasing jute from the farmer, local farmer. He is also cultivating. Then he is going to sell it to the big merchant or the Jute Corporation of India, and then they are going to make lots of. Even they are also going to export all these things to the abroad also.
Mm-hmm.
Abroad also. Not my father, but the big merchant or the corporation, after producing sacks, ropes, and varieties kinds of things, they are going to export it in abroad.
When you were growing up, what was the source for light and cooking? Did you have electricity or not?
Yes, madam. We have right now. We have electricity.
What about when you were a boy?
Yes, madam. That time there was very difficulties That time there was no enough electricity or anything. We usually use the candle, or in Bengali it's called hurricane. I mean, it's like light.
A lantern,
It was the main thing that we were using. Lamp, yes,
and
lamp.
and
Kerosene oil, and to get that light, we use kerosene oil to burn that lamp.
but the trouble with kerosene is it's unhealthy, right? That it and it's smoky, so it's not good for children's lungs, right?
Yes. Uh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But nowadays we have the electricity. Yes, madam. Lots of difficulties. You see, um, we are from the very modest background. Not only that, from underprivileged sections. Now, day by day, technology is advancing. We are getting better result now. But of course, there was difficulty, lots of difficulties. I am not only faced, but many people were facing or faced these kinds of problems. Yes,
Right,
and of course, these are not good for our health. But you see, there was no option for us. Yes.
right. So what I'm thinking is it's difficult to study under the at night with a kerosene lamp, and people probably you went to sleep early because it was the kerosene lamp wasn't fantastic.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I can send you a picture. I can send you a picture that even my master degree, when I did my post graduation, one of my former, I mean, he was the retired degree college principal. He was teaching me and with that lamp. So I will definitely share you a picture, a lamp, and I am taking lessons. Not only that, my father, he also did the same thing for many years. When I started my primary school, even in the high school, he did the same thing for many years. Um, so our life is full of struggle, ma'am.
What about water? I'm asking because around the world, especially girls, can't go to school or can't spend
Ma'am,
much because
ma'am,
they're fetching
I have
water.
a request to you. Ma'am, I have a request to you. Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, I have a request to you. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, madam. Can you please off your camera so that we can get better connection, or I can switch off my camera.
Oh no, we need your camera on. Um,
Then, if you please switch off your camera so that it will be better, so that we can get the good connection.
is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It is better now, ma'am.
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you for thinking of that. Around the world, what keeps girls out of school is they have to spend hours fetching water. They have to walk long distances and then they're tired. They don't have time to go to school or study, and or they're fetching firewood. So I wonder, when you were a boy, where did the water and fire, the source of cooking, come from?
Yes, ma'am. All are. This is a very good question. Still now we are facing lots of problems. Our water quality sometimes is not good. It is. We are getting lots of arsenic in our water. We are getting lots of health issues, especially the gut health issues. So still now we are facing the same problem, the arsenic problem here. And when I was boy, it was so difficult. For though we are fortunate enough that somehow we are getting some drinking water. But in our country, in different parts of our country, many people even they are not getting the drinking water also. Because of the geographical location or different kinds of problems. So when I was a boy, still now we are dependent on tube oil only, and water quality is not so good. Lots of arsenic is there, and sometimes we are using some aquaguard or anything. But not every house, even in my house also, water is a very big issue for us. Mostly we are affected sometimes. Most of the times there is the when we are doing examination in our water, we are getting lots of arsenic. So this is one of the problem. We faced when I was the boy, and still now the water quality is not good, not so much good.
Well, did you have a well for the water, or how did your family capture the water?
Madam, so throughout my experience, when I was a child or the boy, that time many villagers they were using well, or even they were taking water from pond also. Pond also. That very lots of bacteria they are taking their even the animals they are also taking their bath. Peoples also they had taken that water. Nowadays situation little bit changed. They are taking their water from the tube oil or the some plants. So yes, but especially the mainly we are taking water, getting the water from the tube oil nowadays. But we have the experience to take water from well or sometimes pond also. But that was 15 years back, more than 15 years back. Nowadays, mainly we are taking water from the tube oil. Yes.
Are you saying the sea water from the ocean that's desalinated?
In some places tap water, but tube oil, that is Pubeal. So we need to press and the water is coming. So if you wish, I can send you, share you a picture. That what is tube oil is calling.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Tap water also there, but not everybody is getting tap water. We are mostly dependent on tube oil only, tube oil.
Mm.
That we need to press like this, and the water is coming.
Mm. When you were a boy, were there different?
I will send you a tube oil picture, ma'am.
Great. When you were a boy, did your sisters and brothers do different work? Like the girls did the work in the home, and the boys did work in the farm, or how was work divided among the boys and the girls?
You are asking for my family or mostly every family?
Well, let's start with your family.
Both.
Well,
With my family. Okay, ma'am. So basically, in our family, I already mentioned you that my sister she did her post graduation. Now also she is teaching at our school. She is taking care our institution in my absence. So she have the equal rights. We have the equal rights and equal freedom. That is existing in our house. And my younger brother, he is doing his post graduation in from Kolkata, and one brother he did his he admitted in college, and he is doing some farm work, farming. Farming, and my father he is also doing farming as well as he is also purchasing jute and selling jute to the others. And my mother she is doing household work, and not only that she is also teaching them integrated doing integrated child development service here. So basically, usually we are getting that women, which is basically our mothers, sisters, grandmothers. Mostly they are doing the household works, especially household works. And not only that, nowadays they are so advanced, and we need that the equal rights, equal opportunity for everyone. And others, but basically they are doing their household work, and boys or the male person Of course, they are mostly they are working as an earning member mostly.
Mm-hmm.
But those who are doing service or associated with different work, that is different thing. But mostly this is going on in our society.
How much education does your father have, and how many years of school did your mother have?
Actually, ma'am, they hardly completed their up to 8 standard. Then they became dropout. And nowadays, my father, he himself reading books in our house. He is reading. He is very much habituated to reading books. Different kinds of books he is reading in our house. Even I did my double post graduation. I am in the teaching field, but I have not that kind of patience to read books, different kinds of books. But he is reading different kinds of books now, but he have not the institutional degree, hardly up to 8 standard. But he is a very education interested person who believes that education is man's true religion.
Ah, that's interesting. So eighth standard, are they like 13, or roughly how old are you eighth standard?
Me?
No, in India,
When I did my 80 standard, that time I was 13 years old. 13.
13. Yeah, okay. So your parents were about
Yes,
13
ma'am.
when they stopped going to school so they could work.
Yes, ma'am. And my especially my father's my family, especially my father's from my father's angle, after passed away of my grandfather, the situation became worse. So to maintain our family, they worked in the farm, in the house, at the labor, as a labor. So it was very difficult. That I listened, that I am listening from my family member, that it was very difficult for them to maintain our house. So that's why they engage themselves with different works since their childhood.
Mm-hmm. Um, so you started your first school when you were 9. What made you think, I should share what I'm learning with these other children who aren't able to go to school like me?
Actually, ma'am, I started my school from below 5 years old, before 5 years old, because I was in the primary school. Then, when I was 9 years old, that time I was in a high school, and my high school was 10 kilometers far away from my home. And my father, he admitted me there in 10 kilometers far away school. So after returning from my school, I saw the children like my age. They are working in the fields, grazing cattle, or collecting garbage at the rag pickers from the nearest city. Guards, they are working at their houses at the helping hand. So at first I love to teach them that whatever I have learned from my school, it became my passion. That every day I will teach the same thing with them. Then I realized that I myself getting education, but if I can do something for these helpless children so that they can do better. So at first, love and the realization, these two things helped me to start my journey and also to continue my journey.
What did you find in terms of girls coming girls coming to your school? Because it seemed at first most of your students were boys.
Yes, ma'am. So when I started my school, that I already mentioned that my sister, she was my first student. And not only that, there was when I founded my institution. As you know that my institution name is Anando Shiksha Niketan, the home of joyful learning. So when I founded my institute school, the village elders were very skeptic to educate their children, as because they were not educated themselves, and hence they use their children as the helping hand. So when I pursued to the parents to send their children, the first question I was asked how education will be important, even who cannot afford two squares a meal in a day, and what is the necessity of education? Because there is no job or nothing, and because to help their family they should work as a child labor, and for the girls they told that what is the necessity of education, that if they can get education more, they are not going to find husbands. Actually the early marriage problem was existed in our society, early marriage problem. But I always try to motivate them. You see that I myself getting education. I am also from a very poor background, but we need to get education to bring change in our society. And why I give importance for the girls' children, because if one girls, if they can learn, they can teach or they can help more persons, because mother is the best teacher in our life. So I always try to give them importance of girls' education. So it was the main important thing. And nowadays at our school there is 60% are girls and 40% are boys. And not only that, this 19th October 2021, we completed our 19 years of journey. Right now I am 28 years old, and more than 6,000 students has received completely free education, and a majority section is from girls. And not only that, our teachers, 90% is teachers, they are also from the girls. They are also girls. They also did their graduation, post graduation, teachers training degree. They are mostly they are our former students, and they are girls. So the women empowerment, the importance of education for the women, it was the priority for me. Because if a girl child, if she can learn, if she can educate more generation. So that was one of the motto that I always tried to bring in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I am getting the good result also.
Mm-hmm.
But there was lots of reservation in the society about the girls' education, lots of societal problem, biasness that I have faced, and it was not so easy to bring them back in the field of education.
So, how were you able to get around the bias? Like, some conservative Muslim families don't think that girls should be in the same room with boys, that they should be separate because
Yes, ma'am.
of her honor.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You know that I always try to give the inclusive education, importance of inclusive education, and there should not be any barriers of caste, religion, sex, anything. So everybody can learn at our institution, and our institution is home of joyful learning. Though it was not so easy to convince those conservative peoples, it was very difficult task for me. But gradually, I was getting good result. When my sister, others girls, they keep coming, and I always tried to motivate them that what is the importance of our education, why the modern education is important in our life. And it was not so easy. I again and again tried to motivate them, again and again tried to visit their houses to motivate them. And not only that, few good people, kind-hearted people, they also came forward to help me. And you see, it was not a one-day work or one-year work. So it was the continuous process, step process. It was one kind of motivation that I tried to give them, and it helps me a lot. That is, you told about Swami Vivekananda, and I always remember his message in that time. That is, go on bravely. Do not expect success in a day or year. Always hold on to the highest. Be steady. Avoid jealousy and selfishness. Be obedient. Be eternally faithful to the cause of truth, humanity, and your country, and you will move the world. And now I am convinced that nothing can stand against firm determination, firm conviction, and firm will. The only things you should have into your heart are courage, purity, honesty, and above all, love. Actually, I heard the call of love in the core of my heart. So whatever I have done, I have done with love, with passion, with patience. So this passion and patience, it helps me to bring out from the conservative world, from the biasness, from different kind of challenges in our society. And this is not only one institution. This is one kind of revolution that I always tried to do, and I always and also still now I am trying to bring something new, something renaissance in the education field in our society.
Mm-hmm. So, what message convinced the parents that I can send my girl to your school and it won't keep her from getting married or make her have a bad reputation? What argument or what convinced the parents? Okay, I'll let my girls come to your school.
Yes, ma'am. Initially, they thought that what is the importance of education and why they are going to involve with modern education. That modern education is not necessary in some. Initially, they thought that, and they thought that that our son they should be the earning member for our family as a child labor. Girls, they will work in their houses. So they were not thinking about in a bigger way. But when I try to give example for myself or the others who keep coming at our institution, other girls like my sister, others students, then they started thinking, and I already mentioned you that this is one kind of motivation that I always try to give them, the motivation and the determination to bring back in the field of society. So it was the continuous process to motivate their parents. Then they realized that yes, there is the necessity of education at least so that they can gain knowledge. Not only that, it can also change in their lives also. So this motivation, the example. It helps us to bring back in the field of education.
Probably having your sister and other role models of girls who looked like they were doing well, that speaks loudly. Sometimes action speaks louder than words.
Yes, ma'am. And not only that, that's why I mentioned our 90% is teaching staff, they are girls. And they are well educated now. But it was very difficult for themselves to get education. So I am giving you one example. So they are the one teacher, her name is Chumki Hadda. She is from the scheduled caste family. Actually, they are the weaker section in our we usually think, but you the weaker section sometimes. But you see, it was very difficult for her to get education. So she went in different states as the migrant labor along with her grandmother. And she came back at her village because it was very difficult for her to work there. So and then actually her grandmother, she was the elderly person. She is the widow woman. Even she has not any education. She sells fish. She was selling fish in the village market in the morning. So one day when she came to know about my institution, she asked me that she requested me that I want to admit my granddaughter at your school, and I want to educate her. You see, she completed her graduation. Now she became the teacher at our school. And not only that, her grandmother, though she has not any education, but he was the passionate education interested person. So she also requested me that I want to help you in your movement. So in the morning, she was selling fish in the village market, and afternoon she became the she was taking care of our students. And last year she passed away, but from 2006 to 2021, she helped our institution. So these kinds of changes were happened throughout my institution.
You know, it's interesting that now around the world, including the United States, 60% in the US of college students are women, only 40% are men. And that's true in universities except in sub-Saharan Africa. So why do you think that is? What's happening with men that they're not an equal number of male college students? And is that true in India as well?
Yes, ma'am. In different parts in our country, there is the different statistics. Maybe I am also I have not the correct numbers right now, but you see in my place nowadays girls' education is increasing, whereas boys after a certain age they are leaving education, then they are working as the migrant labor in different states, different parts of our country. So this is also a difficult situation for boys also, because they are thinking for their family, because the unemployment issue, sometimes they are thinking that what is the necessity of education wherever there is the unemployment issue and everything. So in their early age, they are leaving education, leaving school, and they engage themselves in different works, especially as the migrant labor, or in different works they are joining. So this is one of the incident are happening in our area also nowadays because of this. Because they want to help their family, and they want to be a self-sustained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's part of it in the States too, that college education is so expensive. A boy thinks, oh, well, I can be an electrician. I don't need to go to college for 4 years, and I'll make more money than a lot of people who graduate.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
How is
And unemployment issue? This is also the one of the thing. And apart from that, unemployment issue, because nowadays what happened? Our system it's saying that you need to get a job, but the ultimate goal of education is not only to get a job, to become a real man who can positively impact our society. So nowadays, here they are emphasizing, they are giving importance on skill-based education also, so that they can become a skilled person, and they can earn something. So both are things are going on.
Right. How do you define feminism? If your students say, what's going on with the women's movement? They're in the Indian universities. There's women's studies programs and classes. So how do you define feminism?
Ma'am, I always believe about equal opportunity. And sometimes the empowerment of women. This is also important. And nowadays, our government and our society, they are trying to bring back giving the importance of women empowerment. Also. Like in the village level or the local government institutions, the elected member, their 50% is reserved for females. 50% is reserved for females in our state, in our province. And not only that, in education sector also, we have the sometimes there is a discrimination happening in the society, but from the policy making organizations, we are speaking about the equal opportunity and equal rights, both men and women. And sometimes there is a strong law also for the women also in our country.
But
But
you
you
see,
see,
the
the
most
most
important thing
important
is
thing is
equal
equal
opportunity
opportunity
and the
and the
level
level
playing
playing
field,
field, because
everybody,
everybody
girls,
girls, whereas
he is
he is
girls or
girls or
sorry,
sorry,
she is
she is
girl or
girl or
he is
he is
boy.
boy.
Uh,
Uh,
if we
if
can
we
give
can give
importance,
importance
if we
to,
can
if we can
inspire
inspire
them,
them,
they
they
both can
both can
achieve so
achieve so
many
many
things. And
things. And
nowadays,
nowadays,
in
in sometimes,
I mean,
I mean,
previous
previous
times,
times,
especially
especially
girls, they
girls,
were
they were
exploited
exploited
for
for
in
in
different
different
from
from
different
different
angles.
angles.
Nowadays, I
Nowadays, I
always
always
believe
believe
about the
about the
equal
equal
opportunity
opportunity
and
and
the
the
women
women
empowerment
empowerment
also.
also.
I think that there's a national law that the village councils, the panchayats, I'm not pronouncing it correctly, they have to be at least
Yes,
Yes,
25
ma'am,
yes,
you are
ma'am, you
right.
are right.
25% female. But when I was in India a few years ago, people said, oh, well, then the husband just tells her what to do. They have the woman as the token, but her husband tells her how to vote.
Yes,
Yes,
this
yes,
is
this is
also
also
correct,
correct,
ma'am.
ma'am.
This is
This is
also
also
correct.
correct.
This is
This is
also correct.
also correct.
That's
That's
why
why
we need
we
to.
need to.
That's why
That's why
we need. But
But
you
you
see,
see,
nowadays
nowadays
we
we
are
are
getting
getting
the
the
good
good
result.
result.
This is
This is
also
also
correct that
correct
you
that
are
you are
saying
saying
that
that
sometimes they are
sometimes
the
they are
show
the
up
show up
only.
only.
But
But
at
at
least
least,
at
at
least
least,
government they
government
came
they came
forward
forward
for the
for the
women
women
empowerment.
empowerment.
But
But
um, we need
we
to
need to
work
work
more.
more.
It is the
It is
beginning.
the
It is
beginning.
the
It is the
beginning
beginning
only. So we
only. So
need
we
to
need to
work more.
work more.
This is the
This is the
beginning
beginning
only.
only.
We need
We
to
need to
work more
work more,
because
because
everywhere the
everywhere the
situation is
situation is
not
not
same.
same.
Sometimes they are
Sometimes
the
they are the
show up,
show up,
and
and
someone
someone
behind
behind
of
of
them
them,
they are
they are
working.
working.
You are
You are
correct.
correct.
But
But
this is
this
the
is the
good
good
initiative at
initiative,
least
at least,
that
that
we should
we should
continue
continue
with
with
this.
this.
We need
We
to
need to
bring
bring
revolution
revolution
among the
among the
women
women,
that they
that
have
they
also
have
the
also the
equal
equal
rights,
rights,
and
and
so we
so
need
we
to
need
work
to
on it.
work on it.
In the
And
We need
we need.
in the West, people have heard about the pink sari gang, the gulabi gang that I'm not pronouncing correctly. That a woman started in the North where they would take bamboo sticks, and if a man was hitting his wife, the gang would come and correct him. Have you heard of them? Pink sari gang.
sometimes I
Sometimes I
heard
heard
about it,
about it,
but I
but
have
I
not
have
any
not any
clear
clear
idea,
idea,
ma'am. But
ma'am. But
you
you
see, in
see,
our
in our
society,
society,
in
in
sometimes
sometimes
like the
like the
about
about
the
the
drunken
drunken
person, male
person, male
person who
person,
are
who are
torturing the
torturing the
woman
woman
in their
in their
houses.
houses.
So
So
few
few
women
women,
they are
they are
making
making
a
a
committee,
committee,
and they
and
are
they are
going
going
to
to
start the
start the
wine
wine
shop,
shop,
and
and
sometimes they are
sometimes they are
going to
going to
beat that.
beat that.
It is
It is
happening in
happening in
somewhere in
somewhere in
some
some
aspects. It
aspects.
is
It is
happening.
happening.
We are
We are
reading it in
reading
the
it in the
newspaper
newspaper
also.
also.
And not
And
only
not only
that, in
that, in
the
the
self-help
self-help
group,
group,
that
that
women for
women for
women
women
empowerment,
empowerment,
self-help
self-help
group,
group,
10
10
women,
women,
15
15
women, they
women,
are
they are
doing
doing
committee,
committee,
and
and
they
they
are
are
doing,
doing,
sometimes they are
sometimes they are
doing
doing
business,
business,
sometime
sometime
they are also
they are also
helping
helping
their
their
family
family
members
members
also.
also.
The
The
self-help group,
self-help group,
Like
it
a
is
it is one of
cooperative.
the
good initiative.
initiative.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. In your university, did they have women's studies courses?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
In our
In our
university, there
university,
was
there
no
was no
specific
specific
women
women
studies
studies
program or
program or
anything. But
anything. But
when
when
I
I
was in
was in
master
master
degree, I mean
degree,
I did
I
my
did my
double post
double post
graduation in
graduation in
history.
history.
There
There
was a
was a
chapter
chapter
about, there
about,
was
there
a
was a
separate book
separate
for
book for
women
women
history.
history.
There was the
There was the
book,
book,
Mm-hmm.
especially for
especially
the
for the
women.
women.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Do you think of yourself as a feminist? Can a man be a feminist?
Sometimes,
Sometimes,
have many
have many
people they are
peoples, they are
working.
working.
Many
Many
people they are
peoples, they are
working.
working.
So, do you think of yourself as a feminist?
Um,
Um,
Ma'am, I
Ma'am, I
always
always
think
think
about the
about the
equal
equal
opportunity
opportunity equal opportunity, and and always we will speak about the exploited society who are getting tortured, who are not getting enough resource or enough exposure. So of course we will speak for that.
In your school, the children don't pay. There's no tuition. So how do you pay your teachers and pay for the utilities and the rent and the food and all that? That's part of a school.
Yes, ma'am.
So
So
still
now
now
I am giving my completely free service.
and
And not only that, our teachers, they are giving their honorary service. They are sometimes they are getting honorarium, not the salary, but honorarium they are getting. And we are completely providing them free education to our students. We are giving them books, food, everything, uniform, everything. Basically, we are dependent on donation from our well-wishers across the country. So they are helping us. That's why it is possible for me. But there is no government support financially. Basically, we are dependent on donation from our well-wishers.
Mm-hmm. So if someone who's listening wanted to donate, what website would they go to?
Yes, ma'am. Before that, I want to give you one thing. In our institution, there is the one of the good example for women empowerment. My school secretary, she is the principal of a government junior college. She was the member of legislative assembly twice, and still now she is the secretary. Our president, she is also the reputed person, and most of the members are women. They are all well established persons. So I always try to give importance on them, because if we can give exposure, they can do better. They can do better. Throughout my experience, I have learned. This is my personal experience. So this is one of my institution is a good example for the that women can help, and if they can get exposure, they can manage everything. So since my childhood, they are helping me a lot. And they are in the management committee. There is the teaching staff, and they are all well established persons. Yes. So our website is www.anandoshikshaniketan.in.
So ANAND.SIKSHA.NIKETAN.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So at 28, there's probably pressure on you to get married. And I'm sure lots of people say, oh, I have this wonderful daughter. I would love you to meet her. She's very well educated, very, very domestic, very this or that. But how do you deal with all those requests to marry, which I'm sure you get?
Ma'am, this is the very good question. Many people like the respectable person like me, the senior person respectable person like you, the senior person like you, who are loving me so much. They are asking me the same question, but still now I want to concentrate on my work. And that is for my institution, Anando Shiksha Niketan, the home of joyful learning. Not only that, my big dream is education for all with equal opportunity, and I want to explore my work across the country and later on across the globe also, for the children who are still need education and the quality education, and the thing that equal opportunity. That is equal opportunity. So many younger generation, they are inspired by this work. They are also asking me that how they can help me, because this is not only possible for me. If we can work together, then only it is possible. And perhaps you already came to know that in India, there is a chapter about me in a textbook, in different curriculum across the globe. So many teachers, educators, students, they keep calling me, and many persons they are also inspired by this work. So right now, I always giving importance rather than my personal life to this man making education, that is education for all with equal opportunity.
Do you have a curriculum in writing that you share with other schools? Or if someone wants to duplicate what you do, what can you offer them as a model or a template?
Ma'am, still now we are following our national state syllabus, our government syllabus only. But of course, in our institution, there is the extra curriculum activities. There is no specific model that I cannot give you just now. But apart from the state syllabus, we have the extra curriculum activities, because extra curriculum activities, and in near future we are going to introduce the skill-based learning and the human excellence center as well. I always give importance about that to become a real man who can positively impact our society. We need to bring change, because maybe they can bring change in the nowadays many activists are working for education, environment, lots of issues that are working. So if we can bring these children from the grassroots level, if we can inspire them to bring change in our society throughout the Human Excellence Center. So I have the priority, apart from the bookish knowledge, the skill-based learning and the Human Excellence Center, and others extracurriculum activities, and the joyful atmosphere that I want to give them.
Spell what kind of learning? Silva learning? I wasn't sure what kind of learning you were referring to.
That is, madam, man-making education. That is education. It is not only thinking for you, for yourself. It can also help for others also to bring change in our society, to become a responsible person in our society. So that's why, and nowadays there is the necessity of skill-based learning. So apart from the book, I mean regular studies, I mean syllabus-based learning, that we are teaching. We want to introduce skill-based learning center and the human excellence center.
Skill, SKILL, skill-based.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, skill-based learning center and the human excellence center. That is HUMAN, human excellence, EXCELLENCE, excellence center, human excellence.
And what are some of those skills that are different from any school? I mean, you said you have extracurricular activities such as...
Yes. So we need to realize our students what is his passion is. That we need to figure out. We need to inspire them to follow their passion. So maybe someone is interested about music, someone is interested about farming. And not only that, there is the lots of mechanical things are there, because for their earning in future also. Mechanical things. So there is the sports content is there. So we are also going to emphasis on this.
So in other words, they might learn how to weave, or how to do carpentry, or how to make clothes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. AC mobile repairing, AC refrigerator repairing, all these things for their livelihood. Electrician.
Oh, wow. A big deal in Indian education is taking the board exams. So you take them 2 times in secondary school, and how you do on the boards determines what kind of university you get into, right? So the board exams can be a lot of worry and anxiety for students. Is that still true?
Ma'am, though yes, sometimes nowadays the education system becomes the marks oriented, and we are just pushing our students or children to get marks, score marks only.
Yeah.
So I am
I
not
am not
against
against
examination
examination
because
because
sometimes
sometimes
I
I
cannot
cannot
call it
call
as
it as
an
an
examination,
examination,
but
but
we can
we
call
can
it
call
as
it
an
as an
evaluation.
evaluation.
So
So
we need
we
to
need to
inspire
inspire
our
our
students
students
that
that
just follow
just follow
your
your
passion with
passion with
patience. So
patience. So
sometimes,
sometimes,
though
though
till
till
8th
8th
standard, there
standard,
is
there
no
is no
examination
examination
system in
system
our
in our
country.
country.
Everybody can
Everybody
get
can get
promotion in
promotion in
every year.
every year.
Only in
Only in
10th
10th
standard and
standard and
12th
12th
standard,
standard,
there is the
there is the
examination.
examination.
But
But
minimum
minimum
marks they
marks
need
they
to
need to
score.
score.
Sometimes
Sometimes
many
many
children they are
children they are
also
also
failed to
failed
get
to
that
get that
minimum
minimum
score
score
also.
also.
So
So
I am
I
not
am not
against
against
examination,
examination,
but
but
not
not
against
against
examination.
examination,
But
but
we should
we
be
should be
more
more
friendly. We
friendly.
should
We should
motivate
motivate
our
our
children that
children that failure is the
failure and the
failure and the
success. This is
success.
the
This is the
part of
part
our
of our
life.
life.
We need
We
to
need to
bring
bring
that
that
kind of
kind of
thing in
thing
our
in our
education
education
system.
system.
We need to
We need to
inspire our
inspire our
students. This is
students.
the
This is the
important thing.
important thing.
And what do you do to make school fun? Because you emphasize joyful learning. So how do you make it joyful?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So
So
I
I
always
always
use it.
use it.
Teacher
Teacher
means
means
friend,
friend,
philosopher,
philosopher,
and
and
guide.
guide.
So I
So I
always
always
try to
try to
become
be
in our
in our
institution. We
institution. We
always
always
try to
try to
become a
become a
friend. We
friend.
need
We
to
need to
realize our
realize our
students,
students,
their
their
mentality,
mentality,
their
their
psychology,
psychology,
what they
what they
want,
want,
and not
and
only
not only
that.
that.
This is
Sometimes this is
nature-based
nature-based
learning,
learning,
and for
and for
joyful
joyful
atmosphere,
atmosphere,
we are
we are
giving them
giving them
enough
enough
exposure.
exposure,
That
that
enough
enough
exposure
exposure
to
to
our
our
students,
students,
that
that
so
so
they
that
can we can
we
deal
can deal
each
each
other,
other,
and we
and
can
we can
realize
realize
each
each
other.
other,
That we are
that we are
maintaining since
maintaining
my
since my
childhood.
childhood.
So what do they do that's fun?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So
So
we are
we
just
are just
asking them
asking
that
them that
what do you
what do
want
you
apart
want
from
apart
this
from
your
this year
syllabus book.
syllabus book.
So
So
I
I
means
means
they
they
have the
have the
enough
enough
independence
independence
with
with
discipline at
discipline
our
at our
institution.
institution.
Of course,
Of
they are
course, they are
maintaining
maintaining
discipline
discipline
because
because
discipline is
discipline
the
is the
most
most
important
important
thing to
thing to
become an
become an
ideal
ideal
student.
student.
Apart from
Apart
that,
from
they are
that, they are
getting
getting
enough
enough
exposure.
exposure.
For
For
fun,
fun,
you see,
you see,
ma'am, for
ma'am, for
fun,
fun,
sometimes we
sometimes we
are
are
giving them the
giving them the
fun-based
fun-based
learning
learning
so
so
that
that
they can
they can
learn
learn
with
with
more
more
excitement and
excitement and
enjoyment.
enjoyment
And
and
enjoyment.
enjoyment.
Sometimes we are
Sometimes we are
showing
showing
lots of
lots of
examples to
examples to
them,
them
and
and
nature-based
nature-based
learning
learning
sometimes.
sometimes.
So
So
it
it
helps them
helps
to
them to
become
become
to get
to
the
get the
joyful
joyful
learning.
learning.
So are you saying nature based, nature?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, ma'am.
yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Yes.
So you would have a school garden and maybe animals that they care for and that kind of thing.
Animal we
Animal we
cannot keep
cannot
in
keep
our
in our
institution,
institution.
but you
But
see,
you see,
ma'am, the
ma'am, the
school is
school
in
is
the
in the
village, so
village,
that
so
they are
that they are
getting this
getting this
kind of
kind of
environment.
environment.
Even
Even
right now,
right
we
now,
have
we have
the
the
infrastructure and
infrastructure and
everything. But
everything.
when
But
I
when I
started my
started my
institution, there
institution,
was
there
no
was no
infrastructure,
infrastructure,
nothing.
nothing.
So it
So
was
it was
under the
under the
open
open
sky.
sky.
So
So
children they
children
were
they were
taking their
taking their
classes in
classes
joy
in joy in
under the
under the
open
open
sky.
sky.
So they
So
had
they
the
had the
more
more
exposure
exposure
that time.
that time.
So
So
and not
and
only
not only
that,
that,
whenever
whenever
we are
we are
using
using
some
some
modules
modules
to
to
become
become
education
education
more
more
joyful
joyful
also.
also.
Um, I'm thinking of what we do here in schools that's fun is they have music classes, drama classes where they put on plays, they have sports, play football. Um, I'm assuming that you do those kind of things as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
At
ma'am.
my
At my
institution, we are
institution, we are
also
also
following
following
play,
play,
singing,
singing,
all these
all
things.
these things.
Uh-huh. Um, it in some Indian secondary schools, the classes are very large. One teacher and maybe 60, 100 students. What is that still a problem? And what's your average class size?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Here,
Here,
as per
as per
Right to
Right to
Education,
Education,
Right to
Right to
Education
Education
Act,
Act,
there is a 40 is to 1, 40 students and one teacher. Ratio is 40 is to 1. In our school, we are maintaining ratio. We are maintaining ratio, and sometimes it is below 40 also. So, and in many institutions, they have the problem, but day by day, of course, there is the vacancy of lots of teachers in our country, in some province also. But yes, this is one of the problem. But as per Right to Education Act, the ratio is 40 is to 1.
What I hear from young people in the States is sometimes they think that boys are more troublemakers, act out in class, are more rowdy, active, aggressive. And so I've had some young women say that teachers were kind of discriminated against boys because they thought of them as troublemakers. And I wonder if you hear that kind of talk in your school as well.
Ma'am, can you please repeat again?
Yeah. What I hear some young people say is that teachers, like in elementary school, think of the boys as troublemakers because they're so active. They're laughing and playing and causing trouble because it's hard for them to sit still. And I wonder if people have that kind of view of boys in India, or they don't see a difference.
Yes, madam. These kinds of problems also there here in different institutions. These kinds of problems we also face sometimes are facing. But we need to bring balance. And not only that, that's why I told you we need to understand their psychology. We need to be more patient. So we need to bring more patience in our mind. I only can advise you.
In the West, there's a lot of talk, and I think there is around the world, about young people's mental health problems, increasing anxiety and depression. And I wonder if there's that kind of talk in India or in your area about kids who are increasingly anxious and depressed, especially those who are on social media a lot.
Yes, ma'am. We are getting many examples. Not only that, they are so emotional. Sometimes many of them are so emotional nowadays. So this is one of the challenges. That's why we need to be more friendly to our younger generation. We need to realize themselves. We need to inspire themselves. And for that reason, we need value-based education. That is VALUE, value-based education. That's why I told you that man-making education and value-based education, that is also important in our life. We need to realize our younger generation. We need to understand their feelings, beliefs, difficult situations. Them in their difficult situation.
Is it only kids from middle class and upper class families that have access to social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or do even poor rural kids have access to that kind of thing on their phones?
Yes, ma'am. Mostly everyone can. Everyone has this kind of access. Everyone has this kind of access.
Because they have smartphones.
Yes, not everyone, but they can manage. They can manage. Not particularly for the upper rich peoples or the middle class family. Even poor family. Everybody they have this kinds of exposure.
So some professors here say anxiety and depression increases, especially for girls, because they look on social media and this girl looks better or has more friends or went to some kind of social event that I wasn't invited to, so I feel inadequate because of what I see on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever, Snapchat.
Hmm. So this is one of the problems, and that's why they are expecting lots of things. And sometimes you see social media, there is the lots of good impact. There is also bad impact also there. So we need to think that we need to take the good things in our life. That's why we need to inspire our younger generation from in different angles, from the teacher's perspective, our society. We need to think, and not only that, they also need to share their problem also, so that we can prevent lots of unexpected problems of our younger generation.
You've mentioned values-based education is really important. How do I teach that? If I'm a teacher teaching history of India, how do I teach values too?
Madam, you see the example of the Japan's elementary education, how they are learning. They are that we need to that our life is not only thinking for ourselves. We need to think for others. We need to think for our society. We need to think for a charity, and the charity begins at home. We need to start from our house. We need to help our mother. We need to help our family members. And what is the value and everything? We need to teach them that what is the necessity to become a real man in our in future. We need to teach these things from the elementary level of our institution, from any institution.
Do you have counselors in your school? You have 2 schools now, and do you have counselors so a child can go one-on-one and talk to the counselor? I'm feeling depressed.
Ma'am, we have not any counselor post, but as I already told you that at our institution, we are giving them joyful atmosphere. Not only that, students, they can easily get access to share their problems and everything with us. So basically, the teachers like us, they can easily come, and if they have because if they have any problem, then we always try to solve their problem, and we are also taking suggestions, or sometimes we are inviting some psychiatrist, some specialist also to help them. It depends on the situation. Their parents also. So, but there is no specific counselors. We are working as the counselor. It is better to say.
Got it. If someone does act out, what kind of consequences do they have? Like, they get a timeout, they have to leave the classroom, or what are the consequences if I don't follow the rules of the classroom?
Yes, madam, we need to inspire them that this is not good. You need to change yourself. It should come from a very soft approach, and not only that, it comes from at first from a friendly approach. We need to counsel them that this is not good. This is not good. We need to be like this. We are giving example of so much great people also sometimes in their classes. So we need to handle these issues with lots of capabilities.
So if you were going to summarize what you do that other schools can model, could copy, it would be that you emphasize joyful learning, you emphasize understanding the child's own nature and characteristics, so you develop those. You provide values and practical skills, as well as studying for college. Is that, what have I left out? What would you say, how would you summarize your particular
Yes,
model.
ma'am. If I can summarize,
Yes,
so
ma'am. If I can
education is
summarize,
not a
so
bookish knowledge,
education
not a
is
pack
not
of
a bookish
information,
knowledge, not a
but it
pack of
is man
information,
making.
but it is
So,
man making.
so from the big,
So,
so
from
this
the
is man
big,
making. So, as a
so this is
teacher,
man
we
making.
need
So,
to be
as a
a
teacher,
friend,
we need
philosopher,
to
and
be a
guide.
friend,
And
philosopher, and
apart from
guide.
their bookish knowledge,
And
we need to
apart
give
from
them
their
the
bookish knowledge, we
value-based
need to give them
education.
the
That so that
value-based
it can
education.
help them to
That so
become a
that
real
it can
man.
help them to
It
become
can
a
help
real
them to
man.
become a good man
It
who
can
can
help them to
positively
become a good
impact our
man who
society.
can positively impact our society.
Do your children, are they instructed in Bengali, and do they learn English, or how does English fit
Yes,
in?
ma'am. So Bengali is our
Yes, ma'am. So Bengali
medium
is
of
our
instruction, and Bengali is
medium
the
of
first
instruction, and
language,
Bengali is the first
and the
language,
English is the second language.
and the English is the
So
second language.
even I learned English
So
alphabet
even I
when I
learned
was
English
in fifth
alphabet
standard.
when I was in
From
fifth
my
standard.
fifth standard. That time only
From
I
my
learned English
fifth
alphabet.
standard. That time only I learned
And
English alphabet.
you see,
And
it
you
was very
see,
difficult for us to
it
learn
was very
English.
difficult
Even
for
there
us
is
to
lots of
learn English.
grammatical
Even
mistakes,
there is lots of
and
grammatical
our accent
mistakes,
is different,
and our accent
and
is different,
there is
and
lots of grammatical mistake. But
there is lots of
I
grammatical mistakes.
started
But
to started
I
talking with
started to
others, and throughout
started talking
conversation
with
I learned
others,
English.
and
Though I
throughout
did my
conversation I learned English. Though I
graduation
did
English
my
honors and master degree in
graduation
English
English
literature,
honors and
but
master
I
degree in
learned
English
English through
literature. But
conversation.
I learned
And
English through
yes,
conversation.
and it came
And
out of passion.
yes, and it
That
came
when
out
I
of
was
passion.
invited by TED
That when
in
I
TED
was
India,
invited by TED in TED
as a TED
India,
fellow, they asked me to
as a TED fellow,
deliver
they asked me
a
to
speech in English. That
deliver
time I was
a
speak in
speech in
Bengali,
English. That time
and
I was
someone
speaking
from
Bengali,
Bangladesh,
and
he
someone
translated it
from
in English.
Bangladesh, he
And then I
translated it
was
in English.
determined that if I can
And
get
then I
chance,
was
I will
determined
speak
that
in.
if I can get
I will
chance, I
deliver
will
my
speak
speech in
in.
English. So
I will
I
deliver my
learned
speech
English
in English. So
through
I learned
conversation.
English
Over 1 year, I
through
learned English through
conversation. Over
conversation.
1 year, I learned English through
So
conversation.
yes, ma'am.
Wonderful.
So yes, ma'am.
You know, I'm thinking that in English, the word man, M-A-N, has come to mean male, not human. And I'm wondering if a broader word might be human-based
Yes,
education.
ma'am. That's why I told man-making
Yes,
education.
ma'am. That's why I
That
told
is human.
man-making
Yes,
education.
man-making
That
education,
is human.
and your words it
Man-making
is looks
education,
like same.
and your words it is looks like same.
Now, man-based implies male. So I'm suggesting that human is a broader, more inclusive word
Yes.
to use.
Yes, ma'am.
Human-based
Yes, ma'am.
education.
I am going to
Yes,
take a
ma'am.
note down.
Yes, ma'am.
Human-based
I am going
education.
to take
Sure,
a
ma'am.
note down.
Thank you
Human-based
for your
education.
suggestion,
Sure,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you for your suggestion, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, because words are important.
Yes.
You know how
Yes.
we
Yes, ma'am.
how
Yes,
we speak.
throughout
Like,
conversation, you see,
Yes, throughout
that's why
conversation you
teaching there
see.
is no.
That's why teaching there
That's
is
why I
no.
always say that I want to be a
That's why I
student
always say
forever,
that I want
because
to
you
be a
see,
student
today I
forever.
learned
Because
something
you
from
see,
you.
today I learned something from
Today
you.
I learned something from you. That's why I
Today I
always
learned
say that
something
I
from
want to
you.
be a
That's why
student
I always
forever.
say that I want to be a student forever.
yeah, I feel like that too. You know, the women's movement in the States they emphasize language. So instead of saying the chairman of our department, we say chair or chairperson. Instead of fireman, you say firefighter. Instead of mailman, you say mail carrier. So, people's language has really changed. You know, so I'll hear politicians, they'll talk about the men and women in the armed forces, whereas they used to just say the men in the armed forces, the military men. And now they make a point, even conservative politicians, of including women. So I think there's been an evolution in terms of
Yes,
language.
ma'am, you are right. You are right.
Yes, ma'am, you are right. You are right.
Is there anything else that you would like to add that we've left out in terms of educating girls, educating boys, understanding why you were able to accomplish so much.
Yes, ma'am. So I hope
Yes, ma'am.
throughout
So
my journey,
I
you came
hope
to know
throughout my
that
journey
about
you
the
came to know
journey of my
that about the
institution, my
journey of my
dream also, that is
institution, my
education for all with
dream
equal
also, that is
opportunity.
education for all with equal
So equal
opportunity.
means
So equal
and the
means
human-based education also.
and the human-based
These are the
education
things.
also.
We
These are the
these are
things.
the things. This is the
These are
conclusion.
the things. This is
And
the
lastly,
conclusion.
these
And
two lines should
lastly,
be embossed on the
these two
tablet of our
lines should be
mind.
embossed on the
Mileage to go
tablet of
before
our
I sleep,
mind.
and
Mileage to
mileage
go
to go
before I sleep,
before I sleep.
and mileage to go before I sleep.
Thank you.